I'll kill the Count, but I want pizza rolls and some dick.
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down the Nakatomi Tower at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass.
Welcome back to Shat the Movies, the podcast where we answer the question, were the movies we loved when we were growing up really that good? Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why don't they make movies like they used to? Can you still remember spending your Friday night searching for the perfect movie rental at Blockbuster Video? Do you know what Blockbuster Video is? If you answered yes, then this is the podcast for you. I am one of your hosts, Gene Lyons, and alongside is my co-host, Mr. D, Dick Ebert.
Good evening.
And each week we take a look back in time, decide if our favorite films still hold up. The movies we cover are chosen by you, the listeners, who generously commission the films you love. If you'd like to see all the movies we have covered, we'll cover one, to choose one for yourself. Please visit shatpod.com and have a look. At the end of each podcast, we'll provide you, the audience, with the number of wipes each movie takes to get off your respective butts. So thank you so much for listening. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and share with a friend. That's how we help the podcast grow. Additionally, subscribe to our sister podcast, Shat on TV, where we review TV series such as Westworld, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, True Detective, Lovecraft Country, and Watchmen. Find all information and past episodes at shatpod.com/TV. And finally, if you'd like to hang out with us live, follow and subscribe to our Twitch channel, shatpod.com/Twitch, and our YouTube channel, where we play video games, host watch parties, and edit this podcast live. All that being said, Big D, what movie are you reviewing tonight?
Gene, tonight is an extension of the Halloween holiday, the Shatacular, Spooktacular, which ended last week. So we're great. We have a chance to let it continue, and it's to celebrate a birthday for one of our great listeners. Rob H. wrote in, and this is for his brother's birthday, born in November. So he wanted us to do the brooding half-vampire riding into town, slaying monsters, and making everybody question their own sexuality. Think Blade plus Castlevania times Interview with a Vampire fan art. And you get tonight's animated classic, the 1985 Vampire Hunter D. And Rob was kind enough to call in and leave us a voicemail to tell us why this movie was chosen for the special event and continue with the season of spookiness into November.
Say, hey, Shat Crew. This is Rob from the Murder Mitten, aka Michigan. I wanted to been a long time listener since Westworld season 1, so I thought it was about time for me to commission a movie. And so the movie that I would like to commission for tonight is going to be the movie the 1980s Vampire Hunter D. And I want to commission this movie for my brother's birthday. I have a lot of fond memories with my brother. Love him lots. This was one of many that I have with him watching animated movies. So happy early birthday, Anthony. So growing up in the 90s, my brother and I would wake up and we would watch the Sci-Fi Channel. The Sci-Fi Channel at that point in time was showing what I would consider to be adult animated movies at, again, 8 or 9 in the morning. No stranger to animated at this time. I had grew up, my dad introduced me to Speed Racer. I had loved Pokemon and still was collecting cards at that point in time, but I'd never quite seen anything like this movie. Was it gory? Yeah. Was there nudity? Yeah. And those things got me hooked. But as I've rewatched it, though, a few times, I've started to kind of pick up on some of the Western elements mixed with the vampire story. Love the animation style, albeit gritty. I think it really does a good job of setting up the world for what it is, and this world that we're about to view through the eyes of the characters. It is by no means a perfect movie. It's pacing is a little slow at times. Its storyline is a little cliched. And some of the voice actors are laughable at times, but overall I'd give it a 2.5 wipes. So I'm curious to see what you all give this movie, Gene and Big D. Just wanted to say thank you for all that you do, providing the entertainment or providing somebody to talk to Westworld about, or revisit movies that I had seen growing up. So it's done a lot to get me through road trips or to get me through my workday. What I would say is, if either of you make a trip up to Michigan, shoot me a message. Your first round of drinks is on me. So thank you so much, Gene and Big D. Have a great rest of your evening. Bye.
Well, Rob, I happen to have married into a family from Fort Gratiot, so I am in Michigan at least every July. Big fan of Michigan, the UP. Got married in Detroit. Big D was there. So I will definitely let you know. I'd love to know what part of Michigan you're from, because it is a freaking huge state.
I was a Michigan doubter, Gene, until your wedding. I loved it. I thought the people were great. The city was fun. I would love to go back there with you again and do another trip where it wasn't so hectic, and you were, involved in the wedding, so you didn't get a chance to really hang out. We got to go to a little, like a late night underground, club. What was that place called?
Leyland City Club.
Ooh, yeah, it was spooky and red lights, and it was perfect. But what do you think, young Anthony and Rob? They're kids. How do you think Anthony sold Rob on this film? Do you think it was, it's a post-apocalyptic world, we got mutants and cyborgs and vampires? Or did he say, you're not going to believe the shower scene?
I can tell from his whispering voice for that voicemail that I think those two are really good at keeping secrets and being sneaky.
Yeah, there was some hiding going on. I felt like he was in a closet calling us.
Yeah, that's the voice I use when you call me and I dip into the bathroom and Sarah's asleep. Hey, what's going on?
It's his inside voice.
The kittens are playing? Oh, that's cool. You're sending a video? Awesome. As for giving 2.5 wipes to your own commission, I've been thinking about this phenomenon a lot, Big D. We've got a lot of commissioners who are very honest with themselves. They'll commission movies and rank them at average or below average. And for a while, I was scratching my head about that one, because you would think you would only commission movies that you know are great or believe in your heart of hearts are great. But with the purpose and the mission of this podcast, I think it's almost as important, if not more important, to take movies that were big moments of your life that you shared with somebody special, that you made memories over, even if they weren't the greatest, even if you know they don't stand the test of time. It's important because they were cornerstones to you. And I salute you, Rob, for picking Vampire Hunter D.
See, but I think I understand also why people pick the more obscure film that you wouldn't think, because watching this, I'd stumbled down an anime rabbit hole and a series came up that I used to love and had blocked out of my memory. Do you remember something called G-Force Guardians of Space?
No.
Okay, it was like 5 friends. It was a girl and 4 guys, and they flew around in this blue spaceship, the Phoenix. And the different parts of the spaceship, they all had capes. They looked like birds. And of course, the ship had all these powers when you could put them together. But the characters was Ace Goodhart. He was the pilot. Dirk Daring, Agatha June, Pee-wee, Hoot Owl, and then Dr. Brighthead. You don't remember this? As a kid, I loved it. But until I saw just a snippet of it, I'd completely erased it from my memory. If I was going to commission a show, I would love to commission that, to talk about it with other kids who loved it, but I don't remember enough about it. I wouldn't say it was a great cartoon, because it was adapted from a Japanese series where they just completely changed the plot. They diced up the episodes. They added characters that weren't there. But just to rekindle that love of the moment. So I could see why you would take a Vampire Hunter D.
Well, my senior year of high school, Big D, I was frantically trying to watch every cult classic movie that appeared on the t-shirts and stickers that my friends were wearing or had on their gear. And I'm ashamed to say I was a bit of a poser. I was more about ticking off the titles for street cred. Say, oh yeah, I've seen that. Oh yeah, I know that one. Than actually stopping to ask if I liked the movie. So I was really excited for this rewatch, because although I've seen Vampire Hunter D, I was almost peer pressured into liking it. And this time I got to ask myself, is this worth all the hype? It's not as big as Akira. It's not as big as, say, Neon Genesis Evangelion. But Vampire Hunter D, at least among kids of the 90s, was kind of a big deal.
See, I don't know if kids today or younger people audience, even if like say you're 20, maybe 30 years old, know what it was like before the internet and everything was streaming. There were certain genres you just could not find. Like you said, it was underground. You didn't have a way to see it. You might have heard about it. In the mid to late 80s, anime started getting distributed on VHS, but they had edited out some of the parts because the US was much more restrictive on some of the violence and some of the sexual content. But growing up, I remember in the video stores, it was almost a unique category. It wasn't adult. It wasn't kid. It wasn't animated. It was usually like behind the shelf. There was something forbidden about it. So I'm thankful that I never found this, because I've been exposed to more like this and Ninja Scrolls. As a kid, I would have told my mom, hey, yeah, I love this. It's about ninjas and vampires. And she would have no idea what I was really watching. And today I'd probably have some weird, unhealthy fetish.
Yeah, not milking tables, something weirder than that.
That's like getting a massage. That's something, it's a passive eroticism.
If you type it into a search bar and it auto completes, it's not that weird. If you type in milking, table's probably going to come up next.
Yeah.
It's not that weird.
No.
If it's like milking my ass,
right,
that might be different. You got to complete it yourself.
Right. And I also don't need an adult version of this. I don't need where they do the fan art like we talked about Star Wars or where we talked about Star Trek First Contact and Data and the Borg Queen. I don't need erotic. The original content itself was fun.
Well, Vampire Hunter D is a 1985 Japanese animated feature based on the 1983 novel of the same name. The film is set in the year 12,090 AD. In a post-nuclear Holocaust world where a young woman hires a mysterious half-vampire, half-human vampire hunter to protect her from a powerful vampire lord. Let's hit the trailer.
Those who know him call him D, a solitary hunter. He roams the vast wastelands between the light and the darkness. The year is 12,090 AD. It is a world where humanity is ruled by vampires. A world where love is stained with blood. Where hope is eclipsed by despair. When a young woman named Doris falls prey to the vampire's fangs, who will save her? Vampire Hunter D. His greatest battle is about to begin. This is it, the spectacular science fiction horror romance that started it all, based on the works of Hideyuki Kikuchi, with character designs by Yoshitaka Amano, directed by Toyoo Ashida. 3 legendary talents bring you the title that redefined anime forever. Vampire Hunter D.
While walking her guard rounds, Doris Lang is attacked and bitten by 10,000-year-old vampire Count Magnus Lee. Infected from Count Lee's bite, Doris hires Vampire Hunter D to kill Magnus. While in town with D and her younger brother Dan, Doris is confronted by the mayor's son, Greco-Roman, who offers to help, but she refuses his advances. D requests that the authorities should hold off Doris's incarceration at the local asylum until he can kill Count Lee. So, Big D, you and I, it's well known, we watch our movies with subtitles. Some say it's because we're old and we're hard of hearing. Some say everything's been remastered these days with muddy audio levels. I say it's because I really love dialogue and I want to catch every bit. Anyway, I tried watching Vampire Hunter D in Japanese audio with English subtitles. And I had to stop before Vampire Hunter D even made an appearance on screen. The subtitles and the voice acting, I don't know if this is an artifact of the 80s, they were so disjointed and so strangely compiled that my American ears couldn't get around it and match it to my eyes. I had to, I'm embarrassed to say this, put on the English audio track, and then boom, the film made more sense. It was a lot more enjoyable. I was wondering, did you watch it with the Japanese audio or the English audio?
Oh no! After the whole debacle with Ninja Scrolls, I went straight to English.
Okay.
But I took a different track. I went English, audio with English captions. I doubled down, and I had a separate issue. There was a vast difference in the audio dialogue, the dub dialogue, and the subtitles, Gene. And the dubbing killed the vibe. So I don't know which one was real. But like in the Japanese version, in the audio, he says something like, this is Greco-Roman when he's in town. He's like, get back to the cat house, you floozies. But the subtitle was very different. The English subtitle said, go home, bitches. I was like, what the hell is this?
Oh, that's the Rick James version.
Yeah, go home, bitches. I'm like, that's straight up rude. I'm like, who did these translations? Was this the American translation?
I noticed less entertaining things, like the difference between like asylum and camp. Like we're going to lock her up in the asylum or the camp, but not cat house.
Yeah, cat house floozies.
Cat house and bitches.
Back to the cat house, floozies. Go home, bitch. It's very different. But we start off the process, and Doris is, she's got to go out and find her hunter. And the interview process is very limited. Doris basically sees this guy riding around stoic. He's looking mysterious and on a horse. And she's like, oh, perfect. And she pulls him over. She says, hey, stranger, I'll feed you 3 meals a day, and poof, you can do whatever you want to me. I'm like, wow, is that what the audition was? This is the thirstiest job offer ever in anime history. She's got a vampire bite in her neck. Does she try to go to the doctor? Does she tell us what's going to happen? We have no idea. There's a lot of things that are left to interpretation. She just tries to pick up some random cowboy Dracula slayer. You can practically hear every teenage boy who's watching this being like, oh, I'll take the job. Oh, I will take it. I will protect you. It's pure horny desperation. And I love how the movie doesn't pretend it's anything else. But to be honest, the boys there are thinking, oh, Doris, I will protect you. And the girls are thinking, oh, man, look at this mysterious cowboy. You talk to him and he just looks down. You don't even see his eyes. He's like a mysterious Gene Lyon sitting in the corner of the dance club. Just his vibe is very dark and mysterious.
I mean, if they were trying to get every teenage anime fan in 1985 screaming, the creators really should have swung for the fences and gone the opposite direction, right? You get a nerdy dude. He's doing his rounds. He gets bitten by a vampire. And then this big-titted goth vampire hunter shows up. She's like, I'll kill the count, but I want pizza rolls and some dick. Fantasy unlocked. Oh, printing money. You're just printing money at that point.
Yeah, that's when you reverse the roles, it doesn't quite work as well. But Doris, great. I don't know what her deal is. There's no explanation. You see Doris, we meet her, Gene, and she's like, and she's running in a field with a tiny skirt. You see the back of her panties. Her boobs are smushed together. She's got a cross, and she sounds like Monica Seles playing tennis. Oh. And I don't know what she's doing. She's walking around her property. Now I understand. It's like some kind of farm. She's pulling security, but it's dumb because she survived this long in a world of, it's a post-apocalyptic world. There's vampires, mutants, there's werewolves, there's everything. You figure she's on it. But she's riding around on her horse. She kills this giant beast. It's down. I don't know what it looked like, a dinosaur / some kind of monster. She shot it. Boom, it's dead. She comes over and just starts poking it with the bayonet. Gene, when something's laying down pretending to be dead, what's the price of 2 bullets? Double tap. You shoot this thing in the head. Instead, that poor horse that she likes, he gets mauled. He gets eaten. I just wanted. Why? She's supposed to be competent. Double tap, Gene. Is it too hard? Double tap.
I don't know that she's supposed to be competent. Otherwise, why would she need Vampire Hunter D? Doris is a 17-year-old girl. Her dad died. Apparently, the story we get is that he was a werewolf hunter, but eventually had to hunt vampires. That didn't go so well. So she's got to protect this entire ranch. She's got to do guard rounds. Apparently, nobody in town is helping her out. You got to cut her some slack.
You don't think anybody else in town would be like, hey, this is an opportunity. I'm going to step up.
I mean, Greco-Roman tried.
he wasn't out in the field like helping her. Try to like, I think guys would have been like the Gaston type, the Greco-Roman. You would have picked a couple of your men, gone out there, been the hero. There's no way this poor girl would have been left to fend for herself with helpless Dan just fumbling around in the woods.
Well, that night, Doris's farm is attacked by the Count's servant, Ray, and the Count's daughter, Laramica. During the battle, Ray reveals he has the ability to twist space around him and exposes Dee as a half-vampire. Vampire Hunter D fends them off, then travels to Count Lee's castle to confront him. Aided by the symbiote in his left hand, D holds his own against the Count's monstrous minions. When Doris is then kidnapped by Ray and brought to the Count, D rescues her and escapes the castle.
So I don't know that this type of animation is going to be everybody's cup of tea. It's not, again, I don't know Japanese anime, but usually Japanese anime is pretty. It's elegant. It's smooth. It's flowing. It's tranquil. It's almost like hypnotic and peaceful, except for like all the Ninja Scrolls, blood, and hacking up. But in general, the trees and everything, it's pretty. But watching Vampire Hunter D, it's flipped this nostalgia button in my head. I'm back sitting on the floor, Saturday morning cartoons. The animation is janky. It's like, you know how in like 8 or 16-bit video games, the way they show depth is they have 4 or 5 different layers that move at different speeds. The closer they are, it's faster. It felt very much like that. The video and the graphics, it's like an old Nintendo game, but there's something nostalgic about it. I think it's ugly, but it's beautiful. I used to love Thunder the Barbarian or Dungeons and Dragons. And that was like a simple, raw vibe, but it had a lot of heart. And I miss that. Everything when you get now the stuff today, the Pixar and all the Disney and all the DreamWorks, it's smooth, it's clean, it's perfect, it's sterile. This felt very handmade. Like you could see the artist half struggling to get it to work, but trying new things. And there's something about that quality that we've lost today.
I don't want to yuck your yum, Dick, but although it might evoke some nostalgia, this era of animation was decidedly ass. It was this weird trough of art, somewhere between the classics, like you think of the Disney classics that had these big budgets and, you know, incredible love that went into all the frames and the gels. And then you have today's digital animation that benefits from these breakthrough technologies that just looks fantastic. Animation in the 80s, again, I get it. It's touching something inside of you, but objectively, it had bare bones budgets. They cut every corner they possibly could. You know, they take a single frame and just pan across it and call that animation. Choppy movement, bland colors. I mean, look at the color palette of this film. It's not highly saturated. It's just kind of flat. And speaking of flat, the designs are just kind of flat. Like you said, the depth isn't really there. I hate this style of animation.
There's a lot of scenes where they don't even have animation. You can't call it animation. It'll be a shot of a castle, and the only thing will be twinkling stars, like 1 or 2 moving elements, like a cut scene or like a transition in a video game. But there's parts where you could tell the artist didn't even have a full grasp on the anatomy, where Doris would turn and her eyes would shift, and she would go from sloth, slightly developmentally challenged, back into the pretty girl. And from the different angle, it didn't quite work. So, but again, it's like King Bee's jewelry, right? Is it quite like the big jeweler's store, you know, the perfection? Isn't there something about the flaws that make it handcrafted?
He's going to murder you for even bringing his name up in the same conversation as bare bones budgets and a lack of perspective. I was so disappointed in the animation. I was disappointed in the character design. This entire frontier is filled with these like half-ass creations, lightning sucker, like night cloud thing, random lizard dude just crawling around, and they don't really do anything. Like clearly, like I have no sense of their anatomy or their purpose, or like, are they good or bad? Are they just indifferent? Are they just beings of nature? Are they servants of Count Magnus? It's like a bunch of malformed rubber toys just fell out of this factory reject pile, and they're like, fuck it, let's put them in a movie. Would you buy any of these if they were toys?
No, but I would have been dead in like 30 seconds. Because those like pink cloud fluffy things, they looked friendly.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, look, it's some kind of like sprite, some kind of like a magical lightning bug pink cloud. Then when they land on the ground, they just start devastating things. You don't know what they are, but the bizarre nature of it worked for me. As they look like, you know how sometimes kids will draw scary things.
Sure.
And they don't make sense. It's a bull with a arm of like some other animal and like the mane of a lion. Perfect. Exactly. It worked for me. It's like, think of Aeon Flux. Were you a fan of that?
Yeah, Aeon Flux looked great.
But there's some bizarre creatures. It's kind of like heavy metal.
Heavy metal's great too.
But here's the problem. I think this is why it was. If you tried to have them animate actual animals that people could identify, it would have looked horrible. But when you have a creature that nobody knows what it looks like, you can't tell. Was it bad animation or bad execution of a truly good design?
There's a scene where they're like panning up to the castle and it's going through like the brambles and there's just like these creatures.
Oh,
Like, why? It's not adding anything to the movie. It's just like, look at this thing. Whoa. Or like when Dee is going through the cave or the tunnel to get to the castle, and it's like, look at these weird things. Wow.
What were they doing story-wise? Were they all just hanging out there? Were they just
I don't know if
waiting?
there's security. Okay, so the story with this world, if I may for a moment,
Oh,
the story with this world is that vampires knew that there was going to be like a nuclear holocaust, and so they prepped for it. They're like the super preppers, right? So they survive the Holocaust, but they still need food. And even though they've made a synthetic sort of blood that they can eat, like they prefer the real thing. So they're the nobility. They bring humans back, but as like a food source, right? And in the process, they also use their genetic science shit to like make all these monstrosities too. And I guess that was his menagerie of things that Magnus makes, which begs the question, like, that seems pretty interesting. Why I gotta go kill people? Why I gotta go take teen brides? Why don't you just make some more weird things?
Right, but then they also had the ghost version of those things.
Yeah.
So there was like a spirit version, which you could cut with a sword, which is a bit strange. Yeah, it was odd. I don't know that we were supposed to dissect it, but it was definitely the thing of nightmares if you were a child.
Well, after Count Lee equips Ray with a time-bewitching incense, the mutant takes Dan hostage. Dee comes to his rescue, cutting off Ray's hand in the process and discovering that Greco swapped the candle with a fake. Dr. Faringo, secretly a vampire in league with Count Lee, leads Doris into a trap, but he is killed by Larmica. Greco appears and uses the incense to weaken Larmica, but he is shot by Dan and falls down a cliff. Doris takes a shower, then tries to convince Dee to live with her. Her embrace triggers Dee's vampire side, but he resists the urge to bite her.
So, Gene, even though you're burying the lead there, the shower is the lead of this block. I'm going to start off with something else. We'll get to the shower scene, which I'm sure was young Anthony's favorite before he got his little brother Rob down there to watch it at early morning before the parents got up. But the escape sequence. Hunter D goes into the castle and he's going to save Doris. He's got her on his back. She's running through the menagerie of monsters, like you said. And he pulls out his sword and he starts dicing. He's playing, what's the video game? Ninja, where you're shooting the ninja, the fruit. What's that called?
Ninja Gaiden?
No, it's like the giant.
The slicing game.
Fruit Ninja, right?
Ninja, yeah.
Yes, this is Fruit Ninja in 1980s animation. He is just slicing. And they cut back. It looks like an anatomy chart. He slices and you see these creatures slowly splitting in two. It is spectacularly gross. You talk about that they're weird looking creatures. The internal organs, the tendons, it's loving detail that's put into these creatures like they were an actual creation of the Count. Everything has a spine. It's got fluid sacs. And the cartoon violence, it's extreme, but it's also kind of practical. Like you were questioning, what are these animals? They were nice enough to slice one open, Gene, and to show you what it is. Oh, that's a pus nodule. Oh, that's a spine. There's a claw retracted. There's the brain. It was very scientific, very detailed, and it's a thing of nightmares.
Yeah, I'm glad you had fun with this part of the movie because I was so incredibly bored with the action. The fights make zero sense. Like you said, I'm like, oh, how's he going to survive this ghost? Oh, he'll chop it with his sword. And you could say that the sword is imbued with some sort of magical abilities, but like, I don't care at this point. Everything happens so slowly. I feel like the artists who were forced to make this movie, they were just projecting what they wish would happen to them to end the agony of slaving away at this project.
So, Gene, maybe yes, the fight scenes are not great, but you have to admit the adult, let's just say the sexually suggestive scenes are of much higher quality. I hope they interested you. In Ninja Scrolls, I complained that the sexual content was violent.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of forced sexual encounters. There was rapes. There was, I believe, the vagina was a weapon, or it could also heal. It was not it wasn't erotic. It was violent and scary, and I questioned whether or not this would have affected kids growing up at this time. Vampire Hunter D takes a completely separate approach. It is going to be a beautiful woman, hot, mysterious guy, and there's going to be sexual tension. I already mentioned when we first meet Doris, she's running around with the micro skirt, her ass is out, her push-up bra. The animation, I think, is quality. They focused on this instead of the monsters. It's some kind of horny horror, but it's not subtle in the plot. It doesn't make any sense. The movie doesn't pretend there's a reason why Doris should be taking a shower. It doesn't make any sense. And when you think it's going to be maybe a nip slip, we get a little nipple slip, it goes full blown, like frontal nudity. And then they show the back of Doris, and none of it means anything. It's not story driven. It doesn't, there's not like the Hunter D says, I want to finally, I will take you up on your promise. No, she just does it. It's like when the story doesn't make sense and the monsters don't look logical. They say, hey, listen, let's get some boobs. Let's get a hot young girl naked. And the kids will forget about it. You got the Medusa sisters are hot, bonus round. You get the daughter vampire. She's super hot and sexual, naked teenage girls. But I will take this over the aggressive sexual violence. This was just something I could see Rob and Anthony enjoying this on the early morning couch in their home.
Let's not forget the craziest breast reveal of the movie. It's when Dr. Fringo is on the wagon and he pulls like a Justin Timberlake and he just yanks out Doris's left boob out of nowhere. Hey-oh.
Yeah, seriously.
Surprise boob. You thought the Medusa sisters were sexy?
Gene, their outfit was meant to be. I think they were creepy, but they were wearing where you could see. Nothing was left to the imagination.
I mean, other than the things that their hair was covering.
Oh, my goodness. Come on. Did you think that was Borat's bathing suit suggestive?
Yeah, no.
You don't think so? Even though it like cupped his testicles.
It wasn't suggestive. It was just
this was like, okay, how about this, Gene? I
and-
know you were sexually excited by Cher on the battleship.
Yeah.
That's what this outfit was. She was wearing like the little leather belts.
No, she wanted to turn
sisters.
back time. They just wanted to suck his life force. It's different. So they're like in the bowels of this castle. You got to imagine, like, not a lot of people are falling into the bowels of Magnus Lee's castle. And then you get down there and they're like, hey, we're sexy, allegedly, right? Oh, we're naked. And like, okay, cool. So it's like to seduce a guy into letting down his guard so then you could get him. But then they're like, no, we're monsters. Like, what's the fucking point of being sexy then? Just be monsters all the time. You're in a fucking dungeon.
But I like the suggestive nature of Hunter D's sexual prowess because the Count says, oh, he won't last very long. They're sucking his life force dry.
Yeah.
And you see him there and he's kind of like holding out, like he's thinking about baseball or something non-sexual.
Yeah, he's like Sting.
He snaps out of it. Boom. You can't suck the Hunter D dry. He's not.
You
he's
don't
above
suck
that.
me. I suck you.
Those girls had no chance.
The next morning, Ray kills Greco and uses the real candle to weaken D, chopping off D's hand and staking him through the heart. He returns to the castle with Doris, but the Count refuses his request for eternal life as a member of the nobility. As the processional for the Count and Doris's wedding takes place, Dan attempts to attack Lee, but fails and falls into a chasm before being saved by Ray. Ray attempts to weaken the Count with the candle, but Lee is too powerful and destroys it with his telekinetic abilities before killing Ray.
Something you know, Gene, as we both edit the podcast, I hear my flaws and they drive me nuts. I am sure you hear yours. We try to improve as we've been doing this year over year, and what we say and how we structure our thoughts and everything. So I know I have a tendency to want oversimplified explanations of things. The karate tournament, I want to know the rules. We had, what was it, Mortal Kombat? I want to know the format of the competition. I'd like to know background information. It's not always realistic or something that affects normal people's enjoyment of the film. But here, I don't think I'm asking for too much. There is no establishment of the power, like hierarchy of how things work. These creatures, what's the hierarchy? You've got the vampires, you've got werewolves, you've got demons. I don't know which is more powerful. I don't know which can kill another. I don't know what can hurt them. The beasts, I don't know. How do you stop the storm cloud, the pink floating thing? When we get like this, a candle out there, I don't know what that does. When you can teleport your sword, who can do that? Without rules, there's no tension. When there's no chance of me thinking my character could die, I don't know who's vulnerable. I don't know what matters. It's just not world building. It's just vibes. It's just, oh, look at this weird world. They introduce the final weakness of the Count and all the vampires, a bewitching incense. I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's like a candle. Does this mean this works against every vampire? I feel like something that the writers were like, we need to explain a vulnerability for D and the Count. Oh, it's going to be a candle. Nothing makes sense. Am I not being reasonable and saying I want an explanation of a hierarchy of power, things that can hurt, how you could die?
No, they did a horrible job explaining the risks, the rules, the hierarchy. Let's take Time-Bewitching Incense, for instance. Like, I didn't get what it does by watching the movie. And two questions immediately came to mind. I was like, one, it's incense? Like, how does it hurt vampires? Like, clearly they don't like it, but like, why? Is it the smell? Is it the light? And two, if it does hurt vampires, why would Count Magnus have it around? It's like Superman being like, hey, here's my kryptonite stash. Time-Bewitching Incense, the way it works is it bewitches time between day and night. If they'd explained that, it makes a lot of sense. So,
that's what the light was.
Yes. So he's carrying daylight around with him. Basically, it's like the sun is out.
Oh, wow.
And then why would a vampire have it? Because it can also turn day to night. So if they want to come get you in the daytime, all they got to do is carry around their Time-Bewitching Incense, and it's nighttime where they are.
That makes complete sense.
Takes like 2 seconds to explain.
Just show him burning. Show something.
It's daytime here.
Oh, yes. That it would have taken 2 seconds.
Right.
Instead, I thought it was like maybe the scent. He didn't like it.
They even have the messengers who bring it to Ray. Perfect opportunity for some exposition. The Count sent this to you. It does this. And speaking of things that don't make sense, we don't get a whole lot of characters in Vampire Hunter D. It's a fairly sparse world. There are 14 named characters in this movie who get lines. And most of them appear only briefly, like Greco-Roman and his dad. But one constant pain in the ass in this movie is Dan. Dan is Doris' little brother. From what I can tell, Dan's job is to like run around firing, I guess it's a laser rifle at random mists. He's supposed to listen to advice from Vampire Hunter D, and he's supposed to get his ass kidnapped. And Dan is drawn like a man, but he's small.
Yeah.
And then they gave him armor, like these shoulder pads, but he's 8 years old. And I'm wondering, why is this 8-year-old boy allowed by him outside by himself in a world of dinosaur beasts and vampires with a weapon.
Gene, thankfully, I've done my research here. I mentioned the G-Force. In G-Force, they have a character called Pee-wee. His name was Keop, and he is the little boy who is the in an anime where there's a lot of sexualized character. They're the innocent younger character. It's the trope of the younger brother, and they're basically emotional insurance. That you don't want to develop the main character, throw in the kid. Dan, he's there with Vampire D. It's a textbook example. He's going to be brave. He's going to be naive. He's going to be endlessly loyal. He's unnecessary, but he's there so the audience thinks, hey, there's somebody we've got to protect, because he gets his ass kidnapped and put in danger too. And it's not because he adds to the story, because it's lazy. Everybody's got the younger brother, the innocent one. It's a reliable trick, but they do it so much. He doesn't grow from it. He doesn't do anything other than cry and then get kidnapped, and he doesn't advance the story. Stay in the house, Dan. There's vampires, there's monsters. Go in the basement. Don't go running around. So, yeah, I think it was just for the audience. I think everybody's got the younger brother. Maybe Rob related to him.
I'd like to meet the person in the audience. It was like, oh, hell yeah, Dan made this movie so much better.
But it could also be like the Japanese, being stoic and being brave and protecting your sister. And, you have the honor of the family and you have duty.
You need to smile even when you're hurting inside. That's what it means to be a man.
Yeah, you can't cry.
No,
your sister needs you to be brave.
Otherwise, she's going to end up in the cat house with all the other floozies.
With them bitches. It's about Gene. It's about doing what's right and being strong. And Dan is, maybe I said he didn't grow as a character. He did grow.
Well, revived by his left hand, D appears and fights Lee. When his physical attacks prove futile, D unleashes his own telekinetic power and succeeds in stabbing Lee in the heart. With Lee dying, the castle begins crumbling. D encourages Larmica to start anew by living as a human, but she chooses to stay behind to ensure her father's legacy ends as the castle falls apart. D, Doris, and Dan escape the collapsing castle, and Vampire Hunter D then sets off under a now clear blue sky. Doris recovered from her bite, and Dan bid D goodbye as he looks back briefly at them and smiles.
So now that you've explained the Time-Bewitching Incense, I wish they had described also the other word they throw around, dhampir. Now, I'm figuring out, I'm not stupid. It's okay. I'm thinking it's some kind of hybrid, some half vampire, half human, but they don't explain what he can actually do, how it was created. You just know it's the creation of a human and a vampire, because D's powers, it seems limitless. He's faster, he's stronger, he's immune to sunlight, daywalker, I get it. But no one explains, how does he get the other perks? None of the other characters have his strength without any drawbacks. The sister, or the Count's daughter, she's the product of a half human, half vampire. Why doesn't she have these superpowers? Why isn't every half-blood walking around like Blade? And they just throw the word, dhampir. Like, people should know, oh, wow. It should just be shorthand for plot armor, because it doesn't make any logical explanation. You don't understand why he has these powers when the other characters who are half-bloods don't. And they just thought, hey, it's a cool name. Let's throw it around. And I need you to explain, Gene, is part of being a dhampir, a daywalker, is this like idle hands? Because he's got the one hand, right, that talks to him. It's the extra character. They don't tell us, did that somehow create or amplify his power? Because they don't explain that. Is it a parasite? Is it a demon? Is it just his sidekick? Because he eats dirt. There's a part where D is dead, basically. He's been slayed, he's been stabbed, and the hand gets cut off. The hand starts chewing down on earth. It powers up, gets over to him, reconnects. Is there something, please, I hope you have an answer for this. Please educate me. How'd the hand work?
I do. So left hand is a symbiote. He lives in D's left hand, but he's not, like, he's a distinctly different character, right? There's no real explanation for it. He looks cool, but beyond that, he's not very entertaining. I think they included him in this movie. Like, you often hear he's like the wisecracking sidekick or the comic relief. And I didn't get any of that. I just felt like he was kind of an OP asshole. But as far as eating the dirt, several scenes in this movie had the potential to be cool, but they shit the bed. And case in point, D, he gets his hand chopped off. He gets a stake through the chest. This is very bad for a dhampir. Could it be the end for Vampire Hunter D? How will he survive? We should be on the edge of our seat, right? Thankfully, we see left hand. He's still alive. He reattaches himself to D's body. And then, like you said, Big D, he just starts eating a bunch of dirt. What the fuck is going on? He's beating on D.
Yeah, wake up.
Thanks. Gets up at the last second and he kills the cloud or something, right? For the average viewer, this scene makes no sense. It builds up zero grief or wonder or suspense. And here's what was happening there. Left hand manipulates elements. So in order to do that, he needs to eat the element in order to manipulate it. So if he eats fire, he can have fire powers. If he eats air, he can do wind. If he eats earth, he has control over earth element. And if he eats water, he has control over water element. So he was eating earth to get that strength to have control over earth elements. That's what he was doing. It's not explained anywhere. You have to find that out in the literature.
But he was eating before he reattached the hand. I would have thought he would have been eating some kind of living creature, some biological matter.
No, he only works with elements. That's his thing. He's like Captain Planet.
Does that explain why D was not... Because I think D was sexually attracted to Doris. She got up close after the shower, and he's like... And the hand was saying, oh, you can't do it. You can't do it. Is there some reason that he couldn't sexually perform, or he was afraid the hand would be involved? What?
I thought he was just afraid that he'd bite her.
Oh.
There's no way a vampire can fuck without biting. They're like dogs.
I'm more worried about what is the hand going to eat? You said you're powered by the elements. What was that hand going to do?
Well, now is the time of the podcast where we give our Shat score for Vampire Hunter D. The Shat score is our way of telling you how many wipes the movie takes to get up to respected butts. 0 wipes is a perfect movie. It's mating with a human female. And 5 wipes is an absolute disaster of a film. It's when you're coffin-dwelling trash. Big D, please do the honors and give us your Shat score first.
I don't know. I didn't have that much of a problem with it, maybe because my expectation was so low. Yes, it's a little bit slow, but it's weird. It's artsy. I think there's a dirtiness to it, to the art, to the characters. Would I want to watch it again? No. I think 3.5 wipes, a little worse than average. I don't remember what I gave Ninja Scrolls. Ninja Scrolls was obviously a more polished film.
I'm usually quite biased toward vampire films, obviously. I mean, that's my first episode on this podcast was The Lost Boys. I have a soft spot for this genre, but Vampire Hunter D did not do it for me. I felt like compared to things like Akira, Neon Genesis Evangelion, they were just so rich with all their characters, with their world building, with their animation. Vampire Hunter D is not up to that level. I would like to know more about this world. I think that there's like, much like Star Wars, I don't really like most Star Wars properties, but the world is quite deep and interesting. And so there is something there, right? And I haven't seen the Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. I think that's probably something I should watch because I've heard that it improves upon a lot of things where the 1985 feature came up short. So unfortunately, Rob, I got to say, I'm going 4 wipes on this one. And with 4 wipes from me and 3.5 wipes from Big D, that gives us an average wipe score of 3.75 wipes for Vampire Hunter D.
So, Gene, that now ties that in the 331 spot with Hawk the Slayer, History of the World Part 1, The Wraith, Tango and Cash, Deep Rising, Outside Providence, Ice Pirates, Lady Hawk, and Labyrinth.
I mean, there's a lot there that kind of makes sense. Ice Pirates makes sense. Lady Hawk makes sense. Hawk the Slayer makes sense. Yeah. Labyrinth.
The Wraith, yeah. Ice Pirates, yeah.
Big imagination and fantasy elements. It didn't quite deliver. I think it makes sense.
Agreed.
All right. Moving right along, Rob. We've got some email. One that's been waiting a really long time, and it's a really long one, but we got to get to it, Big D. And I want you to keep that thirsty, horny streak going. God bless you. As we get into an email about Betty Blue. It comes from Terry. And Terry, who is French, decided to do us a favor and explain some of the things that we saw in Betty Blue that had us confused. First of all, the egg cups are to eat soft-boiled eggs, not hard-boiled. That's something that confused me. The yolk is still runny, so you got to keep it upright so it doesn't spill out. You put the egg in the cup, you take off the top, and then you dip your bread or your toast, shaped into sticks called soldiers in the UK, and you eat the rest with a teaspoon. That is a very English thing. The soda used in Tequila Rapido, or also known as Tequila Boom Boom, is not ginger ale, but specifically a soda called Schweppes Bitter Lemon, which is basically a bitter margarita mix, but fizzy. That sounds fucking awesome. It was just very fashionable in mid-'80s in France. Also, chili con carne was a very new thing in France in the 80s, as was spicy food in general. So him talking about a hot chili made him sound cool to my teenage self. About the overly dramatic policeman, this one was great, Big D. He is obviously being mocked by his colleague, and the joke is that the cop thinks that he's an American cop. So all the people in the cinema get the joke, and it's very funny from the point of view that they're coming from. So that cop that was rolling around all Reno 911, he thinks he's an American cop to the French. The scene with the grocer's wife trying to get Zorg to have sex with her was kind of a trope that lots of French movies of the 60s and 70s had. So again, it was more funny than shocking to people. There was often a sex-deprived wife in movies at the time, usually the main female character, which obviously would lead to infidelity, which is a real French movie trope, not just a stereotype. And Terry also wanted to get into Betty's mental troubles. Basically said that in the 80s, there wasn't really any talk of like therapy or medication unless you're at the point of being called crazy. So anybody who had depression or mild psychosis they weren't really told to seek help unless they were really rich. And so they just kind of like put a Band-Aid on and kept going. So watching Betty at the time, it did feel like a descent into madness, Terry says, and really actually affected Terry the first time that Terry saw it. Terry wrote, "I was bawling when I came out of the cinema, as were a lot of other people. You," meaning us, "are putting millennial sensibilities onto this that just weren't there at the time. They're Gen X. You just get back out there, right?" Also, back at this time in France, there were naked people everywhere in movies, on TV, in ads, and even prime time. So that much sex, that much nudity wasn't all that taboo. The sex scene was notably long, which I think you and I both pointed out. And there definitely weren't any intimacy coordinators in French cinema back then. Somehow the French have become pruder these days. Definitely a lot less nudity on TV. So, Terry, thank you for explaining all that to us. I felt that was pretty eye-opening.
So, Gene, I recently went to Paris, and I thought of Betty Blue when I was there. And getting to know the French people more and sitting around in the cafes and having drinking wine, and it made more sense. Whereas I thought it was more performative. It seemed genuine. It seemed like they're less inhibited. And it was just people would sit around drinking, talking, having fun. And I could see how one too many drinks would turn into some of the situations that Betty gets into and some of the fights and some of the things that seemed theatrical, I think is more a result of their social culture. And I liked it. I really did. I have such a different impression of the French, and Betty Blue, I think, helped shape that.
It really is eye-opening when you go abroad and you see like just how conservative we are in America. One of my friends put a poll up the other day on Facebook asking what part of the world do you have no interest in going to that other people are very interested in? And after doing the beach, Big D, I put down Southeast Asia. But one of the people said Paris. I was like, Paris? Who the fuck doesn't want to go to Paris?
Well, again, I had a bad impression because of what I had heard and what I experienced as a loud American in his 20s with his college friends. I was probably the ugly American. So that was my impression. So it's a false impression. If I had a list of the only place I don't want to go, it's India.
Yeah, I have no desire to go to India. I've had two different friends offer me. One, my friend Jason, who we did the Chop Top Challenge with, he was like, hey, let's drive rickshaws across India. I said, absolutely not. Then another friend who wanted to do motorcycles across India. Absolutely not. No, thank you. Nothing against the Indian people. I just have no interest in visiting.
No, and I don't feel guilty for saying it.
Thank you, Terry, for being so patient. I'm glad we can get to your email. Next up, we have one from Christopher. He says, Big D, now obrigado. I love the rewatch of the Idle Hands podcast. Y'all did great. So many talking points. I live in Utah, 5 miles from the Dark Knight shooting. Okay, I guess you knew about it then, Christopher. I loved how much y'all tangented. I could feel you two had heart when reviewing my commission. I learned something new about Jessica Alba. Being 17, I was born in 83, so that made me 16 when I first watched. D did have second thoughts at 3.25. I was on point with Eugene, 1.5 wipes. My heart is 0.05% empty. Would have been 100% full if y'all ended with, and that's another shat in the can. Christopher, when I was listening to the podcast in the editing phase, I like smacked myself on the forehead. I was like, fuck, I wanted to end it that way. Sometimes what we talk about at the beginning of the podcast, it's such a journey to get to the end of the podcast that I forget things that I was planning. I should have put in the notes. My apologies. I loved hearing my voicemail and your compliments about being refined. That's what dating a Brazilian will do. Obrigado. Ciao, Big D and Gene. Hope Ash as well. Thanks so much, you two. It was awesome. Christopher Hunka, a.k.a. Trucker Seaman. Get some sleep, new daddy Gene. Big D, obrigado. Y'all are real ones. The Hunka, ciao.
So I started having second thoughts when I was editing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where you were like, do you have a problem that Leatherface only uses his chainsaw? That he does, you were comparing to Idle Hands. I wanted something unique and something different. Maybe I was a little harsh on it. You know, I think I was maybe taking it a little too seriously. But what are the chances, this always happens, that 2 weeks apart, we get a possessed hand? This shit happens all the time where we get movies that are somehow tied together in random ways that it's too strange. But yeah, I think Idle Hands compared to this film, much better use of a possessed hand.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up, we have email from Ben who says, hi guys, really big fan of the podcast, so much so that it inspired me to create my own movie review podcast. Been going over a year now and hoping to continue to grow. Just wanted to ask for any tips on how we could do this. I'm sure you get this all the time, so I thought I would take a long shot at all the very best, and congrats on the new baby too. I've recently become a dad for the first time. She's 3 months old on the 30th of October. That's right now. Take care, guys. Ben. Well, Ben, first off, congratulations. It is pretty great being a dad. I know Big D has been telling me for a long time, and he was absolutely right about everything. And congratulations on 3 months. As far as doing a podcast, I think we recently just talked about how much the big guys are just swallowing up all the air in this field. Big D, I just saw recently that Justin Bieber started a Twitch stream, and he's got a huge stage. I think it's like the setup for Coachella. And it's just, again, it's going to get harder and harder, Ben. I think my big tip, I guess, would be find a core audience, find a niche, and really, really try to help do something. It doesn't matter how funny you are. It doesn't matter how charming you are, right? Unless you are a big name celebrity or are helping with a very specific thing, your podcast will struggle.
Gene was a proponent of under an hour. Gene said, respect the audience's time. Don't ramble. Don't go on. Let them know what's going to be, what they're going to get. And mine was always clean audio and be genuine. Don't try to take an angle on something. Don't plan out and make it too formulaic because people will see through it. Be genuine. And also you have to have thick skin. You're going to get people who are the cruelest and say the meanest things to you. The audience was raw with Ashley, and she didn't deserve it. I get hate, not on the level that either you or even Roger or Carrie got sometimes. So be thick-skinned, be genuine, and you'll find an audience that you connect with, and that's what you can get out of it. You can hope to make friends and connections that you never would have. But like you said, Gene, it's going to be hard. If your goal is to go in and make some money on it and become an influencer, I don't know that that's going to be the right approach.
Also, Ben, find somebody who can do a website. If it's not you, the website is so critical. It's so critical. Big D, I'm convinced that Big D's work on shatpod.com, like that is what propelled us into visibility. Otherwise, you're not going to get seen. That's just the facts. Roger and I had a podcast before called Clean Sheets. We did not have a website for it. We just set up the feed and did social media, and it went nowhere. Big D put the site together. We get site traffic. People can see what movies we've done, what we're going to do. There's SEO value there. People find us by searching, Googling, or looking in YouTube, right? Which is another big search engine, rather than looking on pod feeds. That's not a sufficient avenue.
Try to self-edit. I think it was one of the issues we had early on where Roger would go off on a tangent. And sure, maybe it got us to one or two funny places that we wouldn't have. But the return on editing and getting us back on track, in the end, I didn't appreciate as much your approach to respecting the audience's time and keeping it compact, concise. A 2-hour podcast, an hour and 40-minute podcast where you meander and it's a little sloppy. It'll never connect as much as respecting people's time and self-edit as we're having a conversation and try to stay on topic. So it's a hard thing to do. You'll get there with practice. And did he give the podcast? Did he tell us what it was?
That was going to be my last bit of advice, is also let us know what your podcast name is so we can check it out.
Tell us, definitely.
Dude, if you're not the kind of guy who like inserts like, I have a podcast in every conversation, I feel you. I don't ever. Like, people have to drag that shit out of me. Like, oh, Gene, we heard you do a podcast. Like, fuck, yeah, I do, but I feel really weird talking about it. But I will. It's awkward. You don't toot your own horn.
Yeah, it's a bit of a secret.
Anyway, Big D, what do we have coming up next week?
Gene, next week on a soul-searching cross-county drive, veteran martial artist Tommy Lee stops in the small Midwestern town of Liberty to visit his sister Karen and her sheriff husband, Jack. White supremacist leader Preacher Brian and his minions have been stirring up trouble in town, but when they attack schoolteacher Margot for speaking out against their message of hatred, Tommy reluctantly joins the fight. And this was commissioned by James L. for Tom, who has gone through some health troubles lately. So it's about time. Tom has been waiting for this for a while, and I'm excited that the listeners, that James could support him. And I have no idea, Gene. The story sounds, we've had this before about, going back to your hometown, but just seeing the cover art and the way people have talked about this, Gene, it's going to be something special when it's got like that, like the sentence is the title. It's like best of the best 3, no turning back.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, shit, I shouldn't have said okay.
Thank you, James, for the upcoming commission. Thank you, Tom, for choosing the upcoming commission. Thank you, Rob, for commissioning Vampire Hunter D. Thank you to all the commissioners who make this podcast possible. That concludes this week's episode of Shat the Movies. Be sure to follow us on social media and share with a friend. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at Shat the Movies. You can email us, host@shatpod.com. Support the podcast by shopping our Amazon affiliate link, buying our merch, or by commissioning your own movie. Find all information by visiting our website, shatpod.com. Also, check out our sister podcast, Shat on TV. We review TV series such as Lovecraft Country, Westworld, True Detective, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, and Watchmen. Find all information on our website, shatpod.com/TV, wherever we find podcasts can be found, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, and if you stop by Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review. It helps the podcast grow. On behalf of my co-host, Mr. D, I'm Gene Lyons. Join us next time for the following movie. Bye, Mr. D!
Brother D. You can call me Brother D.
Tommy Lee is coming home to Liberty. But Liberty is not the town that he remembers.
This is white man's land! Their sacred oath must never be compromised.
Get off my property.
You know what those people are doing to this town?
When hatred is religion.
We will create our own nation.
Never used to be like this.
And violence is law.
The race war is imminent.
You hate me just as much as I hate you.
Remember, your blood is red like mine.
The only hope for peace.
Kinsmen, arise!
You get yourself killed.
I can't walk away.
Is war.
One heart, one beat. 1,000 hearts, one beat.
For one man.
Can't we all just get along?
Liberty is worth dying for. Best of the best 3. No turning back.
Oi, and I have dip my soldiers in me eggs.